I tell you what, here though, I was lucky enough to do, oh God, his name is in my mind, with Forever Autumn. The guy who used to present a television show.
Ed Sullivan.
No, not Ed Sullivan. I'll get to it. Nice looking guy. Dick Clark.
Dick Clark, yeah.
Dick Clark, thank you very much. Yeah. I was lucky enough to do that with Forever Autumn, and we never did it with the Moodies. They never asked us.
No. Oh.
Yeah.
Having said that, you did do it with Dick Clark, so
yeah,
hey,
I did, yeah.
Big shiny badge for that. I've got to be honest, when I first heard Forever Autumn, I thought you'd written it, because it sounds very much like a song that you would write.
I wish I had.
Oh, that's, yeah, absolutely.
I think I contributed to what it is, let's put it that way. I think every artist, when they do a song, contributes to what the record is going to be. It'd be a different record if somebody else had done it, you know.
But then you were asked because they wanted your voice, so I guess.
Yes. Are you the bloke who sang Nights in White Satin?
Your solo career kind of moved on, but it was kind of, the Moody Blues were coming back to active service with Octave in '78, so the NCL album was 1980. It was a big gap really, but you were still maintaining your profile with the Moody Blues. So how difficult was it to organise work with the Moodies and then your solo albums? Because obviously I haven't got the taste for songwriter. You were obviously keen to do another album.
Well, the huge benefit for us was that we had success in the days when labels had their own studios. So Decca had wonderful studios all over London, and we had complete control of Decca number 1 in Broadhurst Gardens in West Hampstead. And so studio time was easy and no problem, and musicians would always want to play in Decca number 1 as they would in Abbey Road or the Pye Studios. That was the great advantage. It was no hardship to make go and make music. You didn't have to organise anything. You just phoned up the studio manager and say, well, I'd like a couple of weeks in February or something.
It's weird actually, having worked in pretty much all the big studios in London. I was never in Threshold. I was in, Vision, Olympic, Abbey Road, all those big studios, Trident. But I never made it to any of Decca's studios.
Decca.
Yeah.
Oh, Decca was fantastic. It had the largest classical studio in the world, Decca number 3. We were in Decca number 1, which was already pretty big, and Sir Edward Lewis gave us that. And then all of the rock and roll things were done in Decca number 2.
Yeah.
In Decca number 2, in the early years, every producer would have to do a few days, every staff producer auditioning groups. And they found so many groups that way, from Marmalade to Caravan to even Thin Lizzy would have to go through that and be auditioned and come at it. And the Beatles, the same.
Oh, they didn't pass the audition.
Well, have you heard?
I know, it's one of those, I'm sorry Mr. Epstein, groups with guitars on the way out. Oops. If we can turn it over to the audience here, you get some questions after we've talked about some things. We have some microphones out here. If you want to put your hand up and we'll move to you. I can't see, so put your hand in the air if you want to ask a question. Somebody will get a microphone to you. I can't see whether they're being shy, modest, or anyone's got their hand up.
No, I think they'd love to. They just need a microphone.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, if we can't get a microphone, you can shout.
We've got one here.
Okay.
Where are you? I'm over here. Where's that?
Okay.
Sitting
that could be China from where I'm standing.
Oh, there you are.
Hello, it's good to speak with you again.
Yeah, lovely to speak.
Oh, like there? It's been a few years. We spoke for about 2 hours. 1975 or 74, you were going through Europe on your 7th Sojourn tour, and you stopped for a press conference in Munich.
Yes.
And I was one of the reporters at the table, and I remember you being very frustrated with the inane questions that were being asked of you, and somehow or other, you knew the power of the American Forces Network, And so for those of you who don't know, you know the phrase, "Good morning, Vietnam." Well, the American forces had radio and TV in Germany, and the power of the airwaves to Czechoslovakia and other countries is important, but it also went out of Hamburg. And so you probably listened to AFN growing up. And I want to thank you for inviting me back to the Moody's bedrooms for a continuation of the interview that was cut short with the whole press conference. It means a lot to me. And I want to ask you, finally, my question is, how much to you and the Moody Blues did you listen to AFN, if you could, across the English Channel, and hear the American forces impact, and I guess also American rock and roll in the formation of your songwriting and recording?
Thank you. American Forces Network was huge, as you know that, across Europe, and there was only because of the restrictions, either union or just suits and tie people. Nothing wrong with the suit and tie, that's great. But the BBC was a bit like Decca. It's run by elderly gentlemen, you know. But so there was hardly any pop music played on the BBC. It took Radio 1 to really get that going, and then even that was controlled. And you know, you've just asked me the question. You know, they always had playlists, and that you had to get on that playlist first of all. But the American Forces Network was the one thing that, for me as a child, I don't know when it started, but I was listening to it, I suppose, from the late 50s. When would it have started, do you think? After the war? Yeah. After 1945. Yeah. So my brother mystically knocked up a transistor radio from a kit, and so we could listen to two places that played music that we liked: Radio Luxembourg and the American Forces Network, which wasn't always rock and roll. It was about a lot of things as well. I mean, let's be honest, it probably was a propaganda thing as well, wasn't it, to just promote American ideals and values, which was absolutely the right thing to do across Europe. But it had a tremendous reach as a radio station, and we were all very happy to be there. If I was crabby, then that's just I apologize for that, but I promise you, it was a legendary place to be. That's for sure.
Yay! Yeah, a lot of people in the communist countries, a lot of young people, used to listen to and hear people like yourself and the Beatles and the Stones. I mean, it gave them hope, didn't it? So that must have made me feel really good as well, because it was very regimented and it was a very strict regime in communist Europe at the time. So thank God for American Forces Network, because it gave a lot of people hope in terms of the music they played, and even people learned to speak English by listening to the rock records as well. Anybody else got a question? Thank you for your question, sir.
Down here to the right.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello.
Justin.
Yeah.
I have a small story. Small.
Yeah.
I'll quick it, but he had 5 minutes. Okay, so here's what happened.
Yeah.
50 years ago, I had a front row seat to Hollywood Sportatorium to see you.
Say that again.
Hollywood Sportatorium in Florida, Miami, Florida.
Okay.
I mean, Hollywood, Florida.
Yeah.
And what happened is I was in a laundromat with my dog Tuesday afternoon, because I used to disco dance at the Lollipop in '69 in New Rochelle. And I sold shoes to Ivy League college students and stuff like that. But here's what happened.
Yeah.
I panhandled 5 cents for a blanket because my puppy went to potty on it. And a policewoman was at dispatch. And for panhandling, she called police. And I ended up on the front page of the Easter Sunday paper in the Key West Citizen Journal in 1973. And the reason you need to know about it is I missed your concert. And I've been fucking dying to tell you the story for 50 years. Thank you.
That's a great moment.
And,
Now the question. I am going to be invited to sing with you. I've been practicing for years. It's my dream.
yeah.
Now, you're not going to believe this. Yesterday, I drove from California for you. And they put me on the wrong ship. And I was the last one on the boat. And I've had 33 surgeries, and by God, I know every word of every song.
Thank you.
I know, they said you wouldn't.
That's devotion for you, Justin.
On my knees to you. And everyone. I live in the United States. I have 20 years in university. I'm very famous too.
Good. Fantastic.
Listen, you're going to ask me to sing my favorite song.
Sing your favorite song. He hasn't. He's happy for you to sing your favourite song. You just want a bigger stage. You're good there. Everybody can see you there.
Yes!
Yeah.
Yes!
Hey, I mean, that's some loyalty and devotion, though, isn't it?
What's your name?
My name is Naomi
Naomi.
Alexis
Yeah.
Ulrich.
Oh, Naomi.
And my father was a Jew in the Holocaust.
Okay.
And I was born in a bloodbath. And you,
Oh my God.
every day,
This brother
I
is
listen
crazy.
to you.
Please get this.
But you.
Does anybody have Xanax?
Because of
Get
Ray
her
Thomas.
for.
Oh.
I'm dying to tell my story.
Okay.
Naomi,
so
what a
I-
wonderful story.
Yeah. Go on then.
Thank you.
Yeah, people are getting tired.
Thank you. Let's move on. Another question.
Have you got it's back to me, or is it somebody else got a question?
I mean, is she going to sing her song? Naomi.
He knows she's crazy too.
Tonight. Okay.
No, not in our show. We don't want to see it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now we know that we are real. Scattered good seed on the field. Don't night life's highway. Yeah, like the byway.
Yes.
For you and me. Yeah, we all know that song. We kind of.
You must be amazed at the devotion and loyalty.
I didn't hear that.
Oh God.
Naomi, I hate to cut you short, but we've probably got some more questions. So.
Thank you, Naomi.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing you later on.
Your story.
Yeah.
And around the cruise. I'll be around.
Yeah.
Lots of
Yeah.
love.
Just
It
don't do
must be
it.
amazing for you to have that loyalty and devotion after such a long career. It must absolutely floor you when people tell their stories, because that's their truth and that's their story, isn't it?
Yeah,
I
but
mean, it
music
involves
means so much to so
Yeah.
many people, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
it's a part of our lives. I didn't. You saved your
Yeah,
own
you
life.
saved your life. Yeah, absolutely.
But I thank you for. I'm grateful for being a part of it.
Any more questions out there? I don't know.
We have another to the right over here.
Okay.
Hi, Justin.
Hi there.
Born in Blindy,
Born in.
Toronto, Canada.
Yes.
I want to thank you for the fabulous Days of Future Past concert in Toronto.
Yeah.
That was filmed.
Oh, it was great,
That
wasn't
was
it?
fabulous.
Yeah. Elliot Davis did all the arrangements. Yeah.
And my question is, when you rehearse or synchronize with the orchestra, do you do it remote, or do you get together to rehearse in person, or how's that done?
Well, I'll tell you what, that's an interesting thing, because you know, we did quite a few orchestral shows before we did the Days of Future Past tour. We would go to different cities who would have an orchestra in that city, a professional quality orchestra, who would, and we found that if we turned up and rehearsed with them, first of all, it would be too loud with the drums with us, and second of all, they'd often be looking at us like, oh, it's that Moody Blues guy, you know, kind of thing. I know American people don't talk like that, but oh, it's that Moody Blues guy. People have said that to me after Wildest Dreams. Hey, you're that Moody Blues guy? But it never really worked. So what happened was that we taped our bit of the show, and with Larry Baird, I think it was at the time, but this time it was Elliot Davis, who was a fantastic writer. So with him conducting the orchestra, just doing their parts, so we could hear their parts about 3 times through, and then we would join them on stage only in the evening, and they would just play their parts in the little. I was privileged to be part with Elliot Davis of a group of about 3 or 4 of us, because the orchestra always had a kind of tour manager, floor manager kind of thing, orchestra manager, and my only contribution in the little 3-minute speech beforehand that when we would meet the orchestra, talk to the orchestra, was just play as written.